The year is 1999. Sporting has just come off an underwhelming trophyless 4th place finish, 16 points behind Porto that had just won its 5th title in a row. There was also the rising threat of Boavista that finished 2nd and even won the Cup and Super Cup back in 1997. Things needed to change fast. Sporting's last title was in 1982. 17 years had gone by with many close calls, but the wait was seemingly interminable. Yet there was hope. Portugal had won the hosting rights for Euro 2004, which meant Sporting would be one of 10 clubs to get its stadium either renovated or entirely rebuilt. Sporting suddenly looked like the club of the future, but they would need to improve their squad to capitalize on their potential. And they did. Sporting would get a new goalkeeper, but not just any goalkeeper. They would get the 1998-99 Champions League winner, Peter Schmeichel. Fresh off a treble-winning season with Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, Schmeichel would move to a team that hadn't won the league in nearly 2 decades. Nowadays that just wouldn't happen. It would be like Neuer moving to Sporting today. Giuseppe Materazzi would join as manager, and he would bring Yvonne De Franceschi and Tonito, among others. Having transformed themselves seemingly overnight, Sporting was ready to challenge Porto for the title, something nobody had done since 1994. But it would not be easy. On Schmeichel's debut, Santa Clara would take a 2-0 lead with a brace from Jorge Gamboa, and Milson and Acosta would save Sporting's blushes by scoring in the second half, but the win would not come. Sporting's season had kicked off with a 2-2 draw away from home. Sporting would pick up the pace with a 2-1 win over Vitória de Setúbal, and a 3-0 trouncing of Farense ahead of their UEFA Cup match against Viking in Norway for the first round, which in itself was a 3-0 trouncing to Viking. The wheels would continue to come off as Sporting failed to win against Estrela da Amadora and Gil Vicente to put Sporting in 4th, just like last year, 4 points adrift of leaders Benfica. Sportingistas had had enough. They would press the president José Roquette to fire Materazzi, which he did, the Italian manager being fired right after the Gil Vicente game on the 25th of September. Sporting were eliminated from the UEFA Cup in the first round, as a 1-0 win would not suffice to reverse the aggregate. Augusto Inácio would be brought on to manage Sporting, being a former player from 1974 to 1982. He would have a hard task ahead of him, a game against Boavista. With goals from Delfin and Acosta, Sporting romped to a 2-0 victory that couldn't have gone any better, only for it to wash over with a 2-1 loss to Alverca, and then a 3-0 crushing defeat to Porto with some reason to complain. Sporting now sat 6th, 5 points from the top. Following that run of form, Sporting went on a tear, 6 consecutive victories over Campo Maiorense, Belenenses, União de Leiria, Vitória de Guimarães, Rio Ave and Marítimo would all take Sporting all the way to 2nd, just 1 point behind Porto heading into the new Millennium. In the winter transfer market, Inácio would add Mapenza, César Prates and Rui Jorge from the defending champions, and what a better way to open the new Millennium than with a derby game. Sporting would take on Benfica at Estádio da Luz, but despite having the most chances to take the lead, it would be a 0-0 game that put Sporting 3 points behind Porto, a missed opportunity for sure. The next step on the cup path for Sporting would be a rematch against their bitter rivals, and this game ended up being much better. Acosta would open the scoring with a header, and Peter Schmeichel proved his worth, with a number of great saves to deny Benfica, until Uribe's free kick shortly after in the 33rd minute, which duped Peter Schmeichel. André Cruz would score just 3 minutes later to give the lead back, and the win was cemented with a 74th minute penalty to give Acosta his brace. Shenanigans aside, it was a stunning performance to put Sporting in the quarterfinals, making them dream of lifting this trophy that they hadn't done since 1995 and their first since then. The league lead was being fought neck and neck between Sporting and Porto. Just a point separated them as both teams continued to win in a game of brinksmanship. Sporting blinked. Sporting would draw again to Estrela da Amadora and Gil Vicente and then Alverca. However, because of Porto's late draw against Rio Ave and a 1-0 loss to Campo Maiorense, they would only be 2 points behind Porto, with Benfica 2 points behind them. Sporting would once again defeat Boavista at the Bessa in the middle of those draws with a goal in the opening seconds. Sporting needed a chance to get ahead of Porto, and on matchday 26 they would get it. A home game against Porto at Alvalade for the league lead on the 18th of March would be that opportunity, and Sporting took it with a free kick from André Cruz and a goal from Beto Acosta after a Porto defensive mistake. Sporting would take the lead for the first time, and with 8 matches to go, Sporting had to make it count. Porto would lose on matchday 28 to Benfica with a goal from Sabri after having a goal go unawarded. Sporting responded with a win over Belenenses to extend the lead back to 4 points. Yet on matchday 29, Leiria would score a late goal to hold Sporting back. Sporting was now only 2 points behind, once more heading into the final 4 games. Sporting would beat Moreirense 1-0 in the Cup semi-final to mark their presence as Jamor for the first time since 1996, which was marred by the very light incident. And then on the league on matchday 32, Porto were held back by a late Everson goal in a 3-3 thriller. And Sporting would beat Marítimo 2-0 in Madeira to get a golden chance to kill an 18-year drought, as the point gap was back to 4. That game would be against Benfica at Alvalade. A win would be enough, something they had done 22 times so far this season. Just one more would be enough to end the longest title drought in Sporting's history, and the chances did come. Sabri would silence Alvalade with an 88-minute free kick to take the win. For as much as Benfica struggled, they would have the last laugh in this game. Porto's win over Estrela da Amadora would get them neck and neck once more, and all the memories came rushing back. This could not be happening. Since 1982 the fans had waited. Legends like Paul Futre and Luis Figo had come and gone, but yet no league title. And Sporting even stole Benfica's promising players to mount a title bid in 1994, but yet a 6-3 loss at Alvalade with an unstoppable João Pinto meant that Sporting would have to wait once more. Porto's run in dominance during that time, including the aforementioned 5 titles in a row from 1995 to 1999, tipped Sporting from second best in the country to third. That title in 1995 was even won at Alvalade with a manager Sporting had fired the year before, as well as the title in 1999 was also won at Alvalade. So much had happened during those 18 years, and it simply couldn't happen again. The title would be decided on matchday 34 on the 14th of May 2000. Sporting went away to Salgueiro's home ground, and Porto would go to Gil Vicente's home ground. 19 minutes would decide whether Porto got their 6th in a row, or Sporting would get their first in 18 years. Then it happened.
Jorge, e agora foi Pedrosa a fazer o gol. Acosta. Ai, Marcelo, o Gil Vicente marcou. Por isso, esta explosão de alegria. Aqui em Vidal Pinheiro. Celebra-se o gol do Gil Vicente como se fora do Sporting.
José Lemos opened the scoring against Porto to send Sportingistas with a Vidal Pinheiro into raptures. Sporting would go into the break tied with Salgueiros 0-0 and Gil Vicente lead against Porto. While this was a good start, Sporting just depended on themselves to win and end the drought that seemed seemingly interminable just 9 months before.
A barreira dos Salgueiros. É Francisco abrindo sobre a esquerda, mas o remate é certamente para a baliza. Aí vai, para o golo do Sporting. André Cruz marca. Livre, pé esquerdo de André Cruz. Para a grande festa. E há quem salta para o relvado do Malu. Adeptos do relvado. Porquê que saltou para o relvado? Marcamos, somos campeões. É o adepto do Sporting que esteve no relvado.
It was a sweet afternoon for Sportingistas, as Sporting continued to pile the goals to crush Salgueiros 4-0. Gil Vicente would score again to claim a priceless 2-1 victory. Just like that, 17 seasons of disappointment were forgotten. The interminable wait had been terminated. Sporting was once again the best in the country after a long fight to get there. It wasn't easy. Sporting had to swap managers at the start of the season, but it was the correct call. After a long season, Sporting were the 2000 champions, winning the league for the 17th time and getting their 21st national championship.
Viva, viva o Sporting campeão! Viva, viva o campeão do Millennium! Viva, viva o Sporting campeão! Viva o Leão com a força do seu gênio! Viva, viva o Sporting campeão! Viva, viva o campeão do Millennium!
Celebrations lasted throughout the night throughout the country. The Sporting team bus had fans waiting at almost every stretch of road as they made their way back to Lisbon to celebrate with the fans at the Marquês de Pombal and Alvalade. Sporting would end up losing the cup final 2-0 to Porto, conceding to Clayton and Deco, but that still didn't take the smile off their faces, and the optimism for the future remained even as Porto took the trophy. Heading into 2001, Sporting would look to defend their title that they took 18 years to get, but they would find out that the promised land didn't always come as promised.